In this video we're going to talk about and install some ignition coils in our Nissan Titan. I want to start off by talking about ignition coil upgrades. I don't believe you're going to see a huge gain from that unless you have a bad or worn out coil, in which you could potentially see a pretty large gain. And there are different options available. You can go with OEM, an aftermarket company, and there's also an Audi R8 conversion out there, which a lot of people find that works well for them. I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I have purchased these Z1 off-road ignition coils. I've got 8 of those. And I purchased a couple of other ignition coils here just to see what the difference is. So I did purchase 3 coils here, all from the same brand from Rock Auto. They were the cheaper brand just because I didn't want to spend $300 to do this comparison. They all look identical, size and shape, except for the stalks. And the reason the stalks are different is because one is a 370Z, one is a GTR, and one is a Titan coil. They're all from the same year, 2014, because that's what my truck is. And they all look identical. I did watch a video where they extensively tested ignition coils, and they found the OEM Nissan coils to be one of the best, and they preferred the GTR coil. But if you take these apart, so you can see the different length of stock, but if you take them apart like that, take the stalks off. The stalks can be swapped between them all. They're all pretty much the same. Take the stalks off. They're identical. We're going to weigh, take the stock off this one as well. We'll weigh all 4 coils here. Z1 Off-Road does advertise that their coils contain more copper, so we'll see if that's the case. So we've got the scale ready, it's zeroed. Start with the 370 coil. We've got 146.28 grams. Let's do the Titan coil. 145.41 grams. That's identical. I weighed these before and they were identical. There might be more marker on that one. Let's go to the GTR coil. Remember, these are all the same brand. There could be differences between brands. GTR coil, 150 grams, so about 5 grams heavier. So there is an internal difference between this coil and these two. I'd say these two are probably the same. This one has probably more copper or something in it. And let's try the Z1 off-road coil. So 155.7 grams. So 5 grams more than the GTR coil. And in my opinion, what Z1 Off-Road has done is they've taken the OEM Nissan GTR coil and they are selling it with the stock for a Titan. The reason I think that is the case is because you can buy an upgraded Z1 Off-Road coil for all the vehicles they support. The V6s, like the 370Zs, the Frontiers, the Titans, but they don't sell an upgraded coil from the GTR. So I think they're taking the GTR coil, which is supposed to be a better coil, and selling it for the other ones. And I prefer this route than a conversion because there's no adapters required. It's made for that vehicle. It's made to fit that vehicle properly. Yeah, Audi is basically souped up Volkswagen. They sell the same coils for their regular Volkswagen cars. They're not just coils specifically for the Audi R8. These coils are specifically for GTR, which makes more horsepower per cylinder than a Titan, so it should be a better coil. And I also think that you probably don't need to upgrade the Titan coils. They're probably good enough, but over time they can weak and fail, so it's not a bad idea to replace them. And if you're going to replace them, why not try something different or better? So if you want to see what the difference is in the weight, so that's about 5 grams. So there's about that much more copper inside this coil than this coil, and about that much more in this coil than these coils. So we'll go out to the truck. I'll pull out an OEM Titan coil and compare it as well, and then we'll do the install. So I've gone and grabbed the OEM coil out of my Titan, and it is labeled Hanshin on the side. And as far as comparing, it is a little different than the Z1 off-road coil on the bottom, but it is the same as these other ones. Just this little part here. In terms of the Titan, 3 Titan stocks, they look basically identical. This little groove right here is a little different on all 3 of them. But let's weigh the OEM Titan coil. So 157.5, and it's likely got a little bit of dirt on it too. Z1 off-road coil again. 155.7. And our GTR coil was 150. So I'm getting the same weight between the Z1 off-road coil and the Titan coil. So that's not really what I was expecting. The Z1 off-road coil is supposed to have more copper. I know that all the void spaces in there would be filled with epoxy, so what wasn't filled up with the extra copper would be filled with epoxy, but theoretically the copper should weigh more, so don't know what to say about that. There they are side by side. And they both have a resistor inside. The resistor is only way like the Z1 off-road is not coming out. Like the resistor is not coming out. That one is yeah, less than a gram. So that's not going to make a difference. So anyways, we'll get them in the truck and see how that goes. I recommend new plugs when you do your coils. I'm using the OEM coil. They're a good coil, or sorry, OEM plug. They're a good plug. Spark plug socket that's attached with a swivel. Definitely a good idea. This is a 10-inch and it's magnetic, so that will help. Alright, let's go to the truck. Just one more thing before we throw these in. NGK does not recommend any anti-seize or lubricant on the threads of their plugs. And the service manual does recommend putting a little bit of silicone in these dielectric grease, but they do have some sort of coating or something in there, so I imagine that takes the place, so I'm not going to add that either. I've got everything ready to go to change the coils and plugs on this 2014 Nissan Titan, and this is going to be similar for all 04 to 15 years and also the Armada models. I've got 8 new coils here from Z1 Off-Road. They're upgraded coil packs, and I have the OEM NGK laser iridium plugs to go, 10mm socket for the coil packs, and a 5/8 spark plug wrench for the spark plugs. And you're going to need a variety of extensions and swivels to reach those back ones, and you're also going to be fighting hoses and wires to get those coils out. So let's get started. This is going to be difficult to capture on camera, but I'm going to try and pick a coil pack that is easy to see on camera and do that one. So we've got 4 on each side, starting one here, 2, 3, and you've got one at the back there behind that hose right about there. That's going to be one of the hardest ones to do. And we've got 4 on this side too. One that the light's on, there, and also one way back there. So that's why you're going to need the extensions and swivels, just because you won't be able to get them straight on. But as far as tools go, you're not going to need very many. Let me set up the camera and we'll go through one. One thing you should do before you start is disconnect the negative battery terminal. You're going to be moving wires in there with wrenches and stuff. You don't want to touch anything or short anything out. So once that's done, you can move on to removing the coil packs. Okay, starting on the first one here, coil pack, you just push down. The connector pulls out pretty easily, and you may not see the 10mm bolt, but it's there right about here. My hand's blocking the light, but I'm just using the small drive 10mm ratchet. Once you have it broken loose, you can pretty much remove it by hand. And by design, these coil packs will keep any dirt out. There are other designs on other vehicles where they have a well around the coil pack or around the plug, which dirt can get in, and once you remove the plug, it'll drop in. So put your bolt in a safe place. And coil packs pull out pretty easily. And yeah, there shouldn't be any dirt in there because you've got a seal around here. Should be keeping all the dirt out and clean. But be careful not to drop anything in there or brush off any dirt. So if you do have a dirty engine bay, clean that first. Mine's not too bad. It's a little bit of dust, but overall pretty good. Grab your spark plug wrench. One other thing, if you're short, you're going to need something to stand on, especially to reach those back ones. I've just got a pad I'm leaning on the front bumper. So have your one done. New one to go on. And again, don't add anything to these plugs. They've got a coating on them already. If you add grease, you're going to over torque them, or NTCs. So just make sure you don't touch anything with that to keep it clean. Down in there. Now it's snug. I'm going to grab my torque wrench. This is a smaller one. I set it to 168 inch-pounds. Okay. Right there. Okay, now we can take a new coil pack. Make sure you don't touch anything. Make sure there's no dust on there. Just push it down, orientate it so that the bolt will line up. Insert our bolt. These bolts don't take much torque. They're into plastic. I couldn't find a torque spec for them. So just put light pressure until it stops turning. And you should be able to give it a wiggle. And if it's not wiggling that much, then you're good. Just compare the amount of play to the other ones that you haven't removed yet. It does feel like they go in a fair piece, but with light pressure you feel it, all of a sudden it'll stop turning and then you're good to go. I can feel resistance, and then right there it just doesn't want to turn anymore. I'm not going to force it. And just give it a wiggle. Doesn't have much play, kind of like that one. And then we can reconnect. Harness. So you're gonna have to repeat that 8 more times, and you're good to go. The back ones are tricky. These are swivels and extensions, different sizes. Swivel in different spots, and you'll get them. You can check out my spark plug replacement video if you want to see me do the back one back there. That's probably the hardest one. I'll show you how I did that. Okay, now we're all installed. You don't look bad in there. New parts always look nicer. The hardest one was the one back here on the passenger side. You're going to need 2 long extensions plus that swivel in there. And if you buy a spark plug socket, don't get one longer than 10-inch. The 10-inch one works well. You could use a shorter one, but the longer one's a little bit handier. Anything longer is not going to fit in this truck. All in this side. Couple tips: you're going to be reaching and leaning in here. Be mindful of what you're leaning on. There's stuff you can break easily, like hose barbs, especially this guy here. Don't touch that. Put weight on that, that's going to break off. And wear some gloves. There's lots of sharp edges you're reaching in around, so I had gloves on. They work pretty well. I got one little scratch. I would have got a lot more if I didn't have gloves on. So let's start the truck and see if there's any check engine lights or anything noticeable. So when you're taking your old plugs out, it's a good idea to inspect them and have a close look and just basically read them, I guess. They could indicate issues in your engine. Mine are all kind of oily, so if there are any plug experts or Titan motor experts, leave a comment in below if that's normal or if that's an indicator of something. You obviously want to see that your electrodes are still in good shape and that the top one's not bent. There's no real deposits or damage on the electrodes, just a lot of oil on the threads. And you're not really supposed to check these with a gap tool either, but just to give you an idea, you're going to throw these out. It doesn't matter, but you're going to keep them. I'd say if you're going to do it, just be careful. You don't want to damage the fine wire or scrape off the coating. So we're right bang on 0.043, which is exactly where they are supposed to be. So these plugs are pretty much still good. I could have left them in for longer, Another thing too is inspect your new plugs before they put them in. They're supposed to be pre-gapped, so you don't need to do this. But I did have one that was kind of squished, so I did have to adjust the gap a little bit and check it with this to get it where it's supposed to be. So just got back from the test drive and the truck runs pretty good, but it did before. Did I see any difference? I don't think so. Did I expect any difference? No. I look at it as more of a preventative maintenance. Something to try if you're into modding your truck or trying to improve performance. If you're up above 100,000 miles, it might help you. If you have some plugs that are not performing well or some coils that aren't performing well, swapping them out will definitely help. Yeah, I don't have a dyno. I can't show you before and after dyno numbers. There's not one close by either. I haven't seen any dyno numbers on coil pack upgrades other than people swapping out old, worn out OEM ones for the new Audi conversions. Yeah, that might be one of the best upgrades. I don't really know. I haven't seen any proof for that. I would like to see proof of that. But that's an option, and it's not a bad option. It can save you some money because the Titan ones are a bit more expensive. So if you have any comments, questions, leave them down in the comment section below. If you have any data or any other videos that might show what is better, leave a comment down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching.